Hello, and welcome to MAT 531. I'm Amy Belcastro, for those of you that I haven't worked with before. This class is the last class of your MAT program, so congratulations on that. It's a class that's really focused more on the master's part of your MAT as compared to the licensure, with the idea that this is a time where many of you will be called upon with graduate degrees to be leaders in your schools. So I wanted to take this time, first of all, to welcome you and to provide a bit of an overview of what you can expect in the class. You'll notice what the office hours will give you background on who I am and how to get a hold of me, but honestly, email, I'm really good at responding within 24 hours, Monday through Friday. We can set up a Zoom or a phone call. The Q&As is going to be a great place for you to support each other, post questions. I keep an eye on it and will answer questions as well, but it's often questions that are kind of good for the whole group, not a personal question that is unique to your situation. About the course, just pulls out a couple key parts of the syllabus, which we'll go over real briefly, but primarily it's to tell you there is required text. I provide the reading for the first week to give you an extra week to secure your text. You can get the e-edition as well. And there's a post under the announcement of someone who found a really good, I suppose the least expensive e-edition. We also use APA. We are in the 7th edition. I also provide under the research resources, the Purdue OWL site to help you with APA. Because this course we use a discussion board, there won't be any long papers, but I do require that your citations and references be current in APA. All due dates, this is the big one. There are 2 assignments each week, and they're both discussion boards. One is titled Engaging in the Professional Conversation. That one is about the reading and resources for the week. It's asking you to select one of the issues and respond. And there's a rubric. It's really about taking a perspective, supporting that position, and extending and refining based on your own experiences and additional research. The second assignment is going to be about a critical issue, and I'll go into that in a little more detail shortly. All assignments, let me start over. All of the initial posts for engaging in the professional conversation forums are due on Thursday. Everything else in the class will be due on Sunday. So there's one quick exception, and that's this first week where you have a pre-assessment and an introduction. I'm going to ask that you get those due on Thursday as well. And you'll see the course objectives. These are aligned with your NTAS Standard 10 as well as the MAT Vision and Mission and School of Ed. So with that, I'd like to highlight quickly on the syllabus the expectations. So again, the APA, that this is online, so you're going to want to check your online. And I want to just spend a few minutes talking about the netiquette and professionalism, because we will be dealing with very controversial issues in this class, and each issue will be addressed from multiple perspectives. There's more perspectives in the text we'll talk about, but with that, we really want to focus on modeling professionalism and civility. That we will have differences of opinion, but let's do that with the professionalism of educators in a time where civility is needed greatly. So please take a look at what that looks like in the syllabus as well as both of the rubrics. So become really familiar with the rubrics for both of the discussion assignments. Missing assignments, life intervenes. There will be an acceptance. You will be allowed 24 hours to turn in any late work with a penalty of 20%. After that, I will not accept those assignments. Again, they'll go in more into what does netiquette look like? How do you have civil conversations online? So if you're not familiar with that, take a quick peek there, as well as our student code of conduct. So as I mentioned before, there's 300 points for the class in general. Each of the current conversations are worth 25 points. So we'll start off next week looking at federal issues. You'll do your initial post. on week 2, and then you'll have responses to each other on week 3. In week 4, we'll look at a state issue. You'll do your initial post in week 4, and you'll respond to your colleagues in week 5, and so on. So you'll want to take a look at the syllabus. I also posted an example for that week. Engaging in the critical professional conversations. We do this weekly. There are 20 points. There are 20 points each possible, with week 8 being an exception, and that's with 28 points. So each week you'll be looking at issues related to the course, whether it's, who are schools serving, and getting down specifically in terms of looking at the rights of the individual versus the rights of the public, whether public schools versus private, free speech issues, where does religion belong in our schools, or does it, and questions such as those. So each week you'll be taking one of the prompts or issues. You'll want to use the chapter questions at the end. I highlighted a couple of those, but you'll see that they dig down further into more specific questions that you might want to dig into as you look at one of those issues. So as you look at the professional conversation rubric, you'll see how it's assessed. And then there's a post-assessment at the end, and then at the end there's a summative reflection and professional goals that are worth 22 points. With that, I'd like to take just a minute to highlight what a week looks like. You'll see that we kind of use the same format every week. In week 1, you'll see what you're going to have to read or research. So this week I have a lecture for you. There's the first chapter that's provided for you, and then some additional resources. You'll notice that the second additional resource is really more for background. Those of you that are really new to ed policy, just a refresher or an introduction. And then critical issues in public school. These are just what's really on people's minds and hearts right now in terms of education policy, and how's it impacting our practice. By Thursday, you're asked to do the survey and your introduction, and then your initial post. By Sunday, you're asked to respond to that post. So taking a quick look, there are your resources, as well as the first chapter, your pre-assessment, your introduction, and then the professional conversation. The first week's a little bit different. We don't really get into issues that there's a lot of varying in perspectives, as you will see in the future, but it's a really good foundation for what we'll be talking about. These are 1 to 2 page essays, about 200 words or more, not including your reference citations. And it's really looking around how you develop your position and focus and support the argument, the structure in terms of its cohesiveness and organization, and the evidence and analysis that you use to support your claim, how you extend and refine it based on your own experience, but also based on other resources, and then of course graduate level writing. This week I'm asking you to consider 1 or more of the following questions, and then you'll respond again to 2 others. So really you're going to want to take a look at the rubric as far as what you'll be held accountable for, what you're looking to achieve, and then also for the responses. You'll see the same thing pretty much every week. As we get done with the first week is where things really tighten up. So in week 2, and again, I'll always have 2 weeks open so you can work ahead and balance those busy schedules. In week 2, we're going to be looking at the big question, whose interests should schools serve? With the 2 big ideas is public interest versus private good, and issues of financing in our schools, issues around equity and privilege, and who are schools supporting. That initial conversation will be due on Thursday. You're going to be asked to select 1 of these issues to really drill down on. And then by Sunday, you'll respond to each other's professional conversation. And that's when you're going to complete your first current conversation in education, which is due on that Sunday as well. If you look at the current issues in conversation, you'll see that, again, the first post is due on week 2, your response is week 3. Take a look at the rubric. It'll show you how you're being evaluated, both that you're summarizing the issue, really looking at what you found most meaningful, background, tensions, the different perspectives, and recommendations for practice and policy. You're going to end each one with a critical question that helps engage the conversation. And again, we really want to look at it from varying viewpoints. This isn't a time for soapbox, it's a time for informed, critical dialogue. We're looking for resources, we're wanting things to be, using your APA format and graduate writing. And again, following our code of conduct and sensitivity to each other. The same is true as we look at our responses. We're looking at not, hey, nice job, but we're looking at how do you extend and refine and continue the discussion. So how are you extending this discussion? You can add additional resources as support as you continue the conversation. And if you do so, please make sure they're in APA format. You're not required to add additional resources, but often you'll find that you have something to share. So with that, that's pretty much what you can expect each week. And if you have any questions at all, please don't hesitate to contact me. Please use the Q&A as a support. Again, if you have a question, probably other people do too. So it's a nice way to support each other during this class. I look forward to working with all of you and engaging in the professional conversation. So have a great first week of the quarter. And I'll see you online and check in here and there. Okay, bye-bye.